There are going to be people online that say you didn't get married because he wanted you to sign a prenup.
Correct.
So why did you not just sign the prenup?
In that moment, it was, I'd rather walk away from something knowing that I chose myself than to spend the rest of my life not being loved the way that I love somebody.
Translation, I want to take his money and virtue signal while I do it.
Somebody.
Yep.
I chose myself means she had nothing and had no intentions of putting anything into the marriage. He knew his worth and called her bluff. She's acting like she walked away and chose herself, but in reality he chose himself and let her leave. Listen to her verbiage. She said, "in that moment," which means she made a knee-jerk reaction based on her feminist ideals, and she got called on it. Simple.
Name one benefit that a man gets from a marriage that he wouldn't get in a regular relationship.
Just one.
I think a lot of men who choose to get married are incentivized by the fact that they are able to claim that woman as theirs. And
No, but name one benefit that they would get in a marriage that they wouldn't get in a regular relationship.
Well, I think even though it's not 100%, there's peace of mind that that woman is going to be loyal to you.
The answer is there's none. You're dancing around it. There is none. So my thing is this. I think it's in a man's best interest to stay Peter Pan, as you would say. And I think women shame men because men gain their value in their 40s. Men understand the sexual marketplace better. They understand that women have no leverage in their 40s. And they date down and they get younger, more attractive girls. And that's the best way to go in today's day and age where we live in a deregulated sexual marketplace where women could take everything they got, take their kids, etc. Why the hell would a guy want to commit to women nowadays when, honestly, we got wholeflation?
I think it's also setting a good example to children that you have a family nucleus, and I think there's something to be said about that.
Well, you can do that without the state getting involved in getting married.
You know what?
Risk outweigh the rewards by miles. Every man on earth knows damn well, just because you are married doesn't mean that woman will be loyal to you. Men don't get a peace of mind due to marriage, because women can divorce him any time. In fact, he'll be constantly on his toes, because if she's unhappy, she can walk out any time, and that too with cash and prizes.
When a man wants to get married, he's only getting married truly for one reason. Because let me be honest with you women, the men can work and provide for themselves. He doesn't need your salary like that. He does not necessarily need you to cook, clean, and have sex because he can get sex from multiple women. They're giving it out. A lot of them can cook and clean. Their mother taught them, or they can pay someone to get it. The culture is telling them these women do not get married. So why would a man go past what the culture is telling him and choose to have a wife? Because with a wife, you can now have love, nurturing, support, affection. This is what he can't get from a roommate. So if that is not what you're leading with in your relationships with men, this is why your husband is now pulling away, because in the beginning you gave him those things. But as you got into the relationship, you got bitter, resentful. You start seeing his flaws, start counting that against him. You start measuring him against other men, and now you're pulling back on the love, the affection, and the nurturing.
Truly said, men don't marry for bills and baggage. They marry for love, peace, and loyalty. But today's women bring none of that. It's all about what he can buy. Dinners, designer bags, and lifestyle upgrades. No nurturing, no emotional support, just draining his soul and wallet. Marriage used to mean partnership. Now it's a one-sided contract where men pay up and shut up while getting nothing real in return.
If we look at the studies, actually, we show just the opposite. The most recent, and probably which is the new Pew Research poll that came out here a few months ago this summer. It shows basically 63% of men of varying age are single, are not in a relationship of any kind, not looking to be a relationship at all. And what's worse is it shows 57% of men have absolutely no desire to even enter into any kind of a committed relationship with a woman, let alone get married. So what's changed recently over the last 10 years? Has it become that what men want from a woman, what men want from relationships, has all of a sudden changed to a point where they can no longer find it? Or is it that these modern feminists have taught women to no longer be what men want in a relationship, to no longer be that soft, caring, feminine, compassionate soul that a man's looking for to commit to give himself to, and to cherish for the rest of his life?
The divorce rates are 1 out of every 2 marriages, with 80% of those 1 out of 2 initiated by women. Then child support, alimony, losing half your assets, a house, and more. Marriage isn't worth it. Young guys don't want to get married because their dads are getting divorced. At this point, they're just planning on flying solo in life. Give up, guys. These women don't give a shit what you have to say. Let them figure it out. Not our problem.
Here's the problem with modern marriage from a man's perspective. Most of the marriages I know, okay, the man provides financially, he protects, taking care of kids, doing the things that he can do. What does the woman bring? She brings love, affection, a little bit of sweetness at the end of the day, sex. If you get divorced, every single thing on that side of the man equation, he can be compelled to do by the power of the state, and if he fails to do it, they can put him in jail. Nothing on that other side, the female side, is enforceable at law.
This happens when people start seeing marriage as a contract and not a partnership.
Why would I get married? Why? There's no actual reason to get married. It can complicate things. I have some friends that just have a woman they love and they had kids and they just didn't get married. I find them happier than those that get married.
There's something about it. I don't know what it is, but I feel like once you put the marriage title on it, there's just this added pressure that like the relationship doesn't need.
Did you hear about this new food that like completely destroys sex drive in women?
No.
Wedding cake.
Marriage is a weird concept. You legally bind yourself to another person, and then you're forced to be with them for the rest of your life. And if you divorce, they'll haunt you forever, and potentially take most of your money. Marriage holds a new standard for the relationship. The smallest inconvenience in the relationship will cause a divorce, further paying court costs along with the wedding. In reality, all it is just a title for taxes and something for her ego to brag on. And when you don't get married, they try to shame you.
But my wife, after 5 years of marriage, has decided, unbeknownst to me, to become officially a nun.
What?
She has become a nun. This, my friends, is what a modern day nun looks like.
This is what a nun... Michael, how am I a
Look
nun?
at her.
What?
Look at this modern day nun.
How am I a nun?
How are you a nun?
Is it because of my pants?
No, no. None today. None tonight. None last week. None tomorrow, I guarantee that. None in the morning. Those were fun times. None next month.
The reality is that this is an issue that men face all too often. Many men have gone from absolutely satisfying premarital relationships to all of a sudden the disappearance of intimacy following marriage. When this happens, men feel like you just did a switcheroo as soon as you got what you wanted and he couldn't take it back as easily. But what's interesting is that women never see it this way. They always blame the man for why they don't really want intimacy anymore. And the truth is that it's more complicated than that. It can absolutely be at play, but when this issue comes about, he wants to have a discussion about it. Because men want to fix the issue, he wants to hear what he could do better in order to resolve this. But the problem is, and what's so frustrating for men, is that he could do all of that and then it still doesn't change. That is when he's going to see it as a you problem, and women get so triggered by that. They typically fall deeper into the hole of not wanting it, which is the opposite of what that man wants to create. But what else is he going to do? Well, I'll tell you, he's also going to play it up like this, like it's just something that happens in all marriages, and he's going to joke about it and pretend like it doesn't absolutely devastate him. But then she's not going to like hearing that, and then it's going to create just a really unhealthy dynamic. The bottom line is that that man just wants to fix the problem, and he wants to work with you to do that. He wants to be a partner. He doesn't want to tell you to do something that you don't want to do. Trust me, he doesn't want that either.
More men need to call out sexless marriages like this. If there's no intimacy, then she's no longer a wife or significant other. She's now just a roommate. All the more reason for a man to stay away from this marriage contract.
I think getting married is a bad move for a guy nowadays.
Wait,
Like,
you think getting married is a bad move?
For men, it is, yeah. For women, it's a W. For y'all, it's great. That's why women want to get married so bad.
Wait, so hold on. If you're like influencing the culture of men right now in 2023 and you're on here saying that it's like a bad mood for men to get married, how do you expect any of us to get married? Because all they're going to do is follow you and be your fanboy. Be like, oh, I don't want to get married.
Oh, raise your hand if you have OnlyFans. Exactly.
Does that make sense for you as far as like why divorce is inherently more risky for men?
I just feel like you're saying because women tend to be the person who initiates a divorce, correct?
Yes.
That's why it's riskier for men. But why do women tend to end divorces? With successful men that have money, they cheat.
She said it earlier.
They do all these things that women don't want to put up with.
It's
so
a feeling.
why?
Feelings change from day to day.
Yeah. So I could have been in love with the person at the moment, but if that person is no longer treating me well just because we're married, I have to say no.
That's the point.
Because he can't be a good husband.
So as a man,
that's all I'm asking.
If I marry you and you decide, you know what, he's not the guy I thought he was anymore, I'm leaving. You take half my stuff, and maybe.
So is there no risk without reward?
So what's
you married me, right?
No. So once again, this is why
you wanted to marry me.
Don't want to get married.
You loved me enough that it would be worth it to you to marry me and take the risk.
Hold on, stop the show. You just basically admitted it with your own words. Why guys don't get married?
Exposing how marriage screws men over, divorce courts, alimony traps, lost kids, zero rewards. Women hate it because the game's rigged in their favor, and now men are walking away. No more simping, no more blind loyalty. The truth hurts, and it's making women panic as their free ride gets exposed.
Here's why I will never get married as a man. Growing up, you're always taught that relationships eventually lead to a point of a union, of a marriage where you sign a government contract binding you two together. But the issue with marriages is the fact that nearly 50% of them end in divorce. Alongside with that, women and people really don't even know what a marriage means. Most women just want the validation of being called a wife, the ring, and of course, the wedding. In order to have a long-term relationship, you really don't have to get the government involved. You can do everything that a marriage actually entails without signing a government contract. That includes getting a ring, having a wedding, maybe even doing a honeymoon, changing her last name, having kids together, living together. You can all do this while being married without being technically married through a contract. Now, if you are gonna get married, at least to some degree protect yourself as a man. This includes getting a prenup before you decide to sign the papers. Otherwise, you're just gonna end up being another statistic and then complaining about how all women are the same.
Save this for the future, guys. No need to involve the government if you don't have to. Otherwise, marriage just becomes the transfer of power, leverage, control, and wealth from the man to the woman. R.I.P. husbands.
These divorce judges don't play.
Thanks for watching Manhood. If you want access to exclusive episodes and want to support the channel, hit that join button and become a member. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if it hit home. Drop your stories and thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. See you tomorrow.